Hello and welcome to the Bills Blitzkrieg podcast. If this is your first time listening, then thank you and welcome. We always enjoy talking about the Bills and things around the league, but today we're going to try out something new. We're calling it sport philosophy or sportosophy or sportolosophy. Name is subject to change. In this, we will address social, political, moral, and any other philosophically relevant matters adjacent to sports, particularly the Buffalo Bills. Going to try to keep this relevant to the Bills because we love the Bills. I only really watch the Bills. I watch some other games, but anyways. But today we're going to pose a question: should the Bills stop performing the pregame national anthem? I just put up a recording tonight on Monday, just about 20 minutes ago. I put up an opinion article I wrote. I encourage you to go onto our Twitter, click, link, read, discuss, interact. But before we get too deep into the hotly debated question, we got to stick to the tradition and talk about what we're drinking today. At Bills Blitzkrieg, we believe that the tenets of a well-lived life are the Bills, good drink, and general respect for mankind, maybe not in that order. So to kick us off, what are you sipping on tonight, Jackson?
Tonight, I am happy to say I am sipping on the Spring Bach by Genesee. It comes out every spring. It's always
nice.
Pretty highly sought after. I think it's one of their best, one-offs. Or well, it's not a one-off; it's an annual beer. But I consider it one of their best beers that they put out throughout the season. They have some great seasonal styles. Big fan of the Ruby Red Kolsch, big fan of the Oktoberfest, but Spring Bach is just, it always is that much sweeter and even better. I know you're out there in western New York, Jake, but I'm a little more northern, and we've been getting just hammered by snow all winter long. So if anything, Spring Bach is kind of the first signaling of spring for me. Drinking the Spring Bachs, and if it's nothing that you've had, any listeners out there, if you haven't had it, I would assume a lot of you have or have at least seen it out there. I would suggest picking up a 12-pack. They're right around $10. That lovely Genesee price point is always very nice as well. They're pretty sweet, not super sweet, relatively malty. There's no hop presence. It's a super crushable beer, but they do a great job. So happy to see the Spring Bach back on the shelves.
Yeah, that's always a staple for West New Yorkers. But still, a lot of people don't recognize that they actually do some really well-brewed beer. A lot of people just associate it with the Jenny Light
Sure.
or the Jenny Gold.
Yeah.
Best bang for your buck, best value beer you can get all around.
Absolutely. And
I love it. I always try to keep a couple of red eyes in the fridge.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's definitely that, in case of emergency, again bringing up the snowstorms, and you get no shortage of them over there in Western New York either. But they're always great to have. Genesee's a great brewery. I don't know if they're still doing it, but they were doing the Pallet batch beers for a while. I can't say that I've seen any out and about recently. I know they did like a salted caramel porter, some kind of the lesser of Genesee beers that you'd see out there. This you would consider a small batch, especially when you put it up against the Red Eyes or Jenny Light, Jenny Cream Ale, any of those. But I don't know if they're still doing that.
They definitely still have the Pallet Batch Brew House. I know they still have it in Rochester. I don't know if they're bottling it much. I haven't seen the bottles out. They might just be having that little satellite brew house there, and people can still go visit it. I remember we went to go visit it. It was 2017 after the snow game. We stopped by on the way back to the North Country, and it was a really nice spot. Pretty decent food. The guy was nice and showed us around all the equipment. They had some pretty good ones, a Scotch ale. Really delicious Scotch ale.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend it.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's great to see them kind of going outside their comfort zone too. But enough about that. What do you got on your end?
All right. And now into Around the League, which we introduced on the last podcast, and we really liked it, so we're just going to keep talking about some hot topics, not necessarily Bills. The Wentz trade, that was a big topic. That was a big highlight of last week.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that trade, Backhand?
I think it's going to be great for Indy. Kind of sucks for the Eagles. Seems like they're really shooting themselves in the foot, but at the same rate, Wentz just didn't work in Philadelphia. I hope they can get somebody else in there and figure it out, especially for a team that's won a Super Bowl within the last 5 years. They just they can't seem to make anything work, especially Carson Wentz. I don't think he's a bad quarterback by any means, but I don't think he belonged in Philadelphia anyway.
Yeah, everything that happened in Philadelphia, I think it's just the two major injuries, knee injuries, both of them. And also winning that Super Bowl, Foles was the starting quarterback at the time. I think that really hampered Wentz progressing. I think it really got to him psychologically. So a change of scenery is going to be great for him. I think a lot of people are overstating the fact that he's not good. He had a really bad year last year. I mean, it wasn't too awful. It was about backup caliber. About backup quarterback caliber. So I can see him going to Indy. That's a perfect fit. I always call him poor man's Andrew Luck, basically, before Andrew Luck retired. About big body receiver or big body quarterback, pretty good running the football, strong arm. Change of scenery with Frank Reich. I think will do wonders, and he's going to be a really good quarterback for them, and it's really going to set them above, especially now that Phillip Rivers retired. Great value trade for Indy, which I think will turn out great.
Absolutely.
All right. So now on to the topic of conversation. So we're introducing this sportosophy for the first time. That's kind of my passion is philosophy. I went to school for philosophy, and these guys will tell you I love long-winded arguments and, stating my opinion when it's not welcome. So that's exactly where philosophy is, But I'm also a perspective at a more collegiate level that philosophy is a verb. It's a tool to explore complex matters using good arguments derived from sound logic, good reasoning. You only need a critical mind to practice it. You don't have to go to school for 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years. You just got to be willing to have your mind open.
You got to have one beer in your philosophy major, right?
Exactly. One strong one. You got to be a little tipsy, and then you can just start talking for hours. The intent here is not to be like quoting ancient texts like a philosophy 101 class or anything. We're not going to make you read Kant or apply classic maxims to modern problems, anything crazy. Just using it as a tool to explore matters through sports, particularly the Bills, because we love the Bills. Sports are a major driver of social matters throughout the world, and the pinnacle of that in the United States is the National Football League. The big thing we've been talking almost to ad nauseum at this point, but it's the great anthem debate. And I think with the Dallas Mavericks, they went 10 games without anyone noticing they weren't playing the national anthem, went viral. The NBA told them that they have to do the national anthem. It sounded kind of like a cop-out from them, but that was a big thing to kind of bring it back into the national spotlight. I think we had kind of pushed it away a little bit. I think it's worth talking about going into the next season. We got some time in the off-season. Should the Buffalo Bills even play the national anthem to start the game? Is it even worthwhile? Is it getting the same benefit that it did when it was initially introduced? And is it causing more complications than it is benefits? So I don't know if anybody has any opening statements. Fred, Jackson?
Well, I'm saying if you don't bleed red, white, and blue, I don't really know why you're playing football. But,
there you go.
It's complicated because it's like one of those things. Once the precedent is set, we're decades down the line of hearing the national anthem at every sporting event, no matter if it's football or baseball, hockey, curling, anything, professional ping pong. I don't know if they do that there, but it's no one wants to take it away because you're automatically the bad guy for taking that away. You once the precedent is set, because it's like you're always gonna have that guy that says, well, what's wrong with the national anthem? This is America, right? And it's funny. You can play that satire and pick on that caricature of a person that says like that. It's true. I mean, there's going to be people that sound like that, but whose friend are you once you start taking away the national anthem? It's kind of like I don't know, like knocking over the food pantry in front of the local church. It's like, what kind of monster are you? Why are you doing that to this thing that is so humble and so there? I don't know. It's like,
yeah.
I know you brushed up on the history of it, Fred. It's been over 100 years that we've been doing it. It's a pretty firm tradition in the United States to play the anthem, and even throughout the world, right? Most teams.
Well, I
play
think
their respective national anthems.
Yeah, you're gonna find that wherever you go is like every sports team across the globe is gonna play some sort of patriotic song before the game. I don't know. It is weird because it's like what makes it weird is just the political ties that people bring to it. You know what I mean?
That's the biggest thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean everything is just for the last 4 years, especially everything has been just highly politicized on both ends of the spectrum. And national anthem, I don't think so. You said setting a precedent about being the bad guy. I don't think it will ever happen for that reason. I don't think like any league will go forward and just say, okay, we're not doing national anthem anymore for any game. I think they would lose a ton of money by doing that, ton of revenue, which that's number one thing for the NFL. But as far, I guess, like personal opinion.
Wait, you're trying to say that the NFL isn't in the business for the sake of playing football? They're in it for the money? Is that what?
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Hold on.
I don't like to believe it.
I gotta go talk to my wife about this. No, but I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I would love to see them go in a style of, professional wrestling. I think every team should have their own walkout song. Maybe do some Stranglehold, little Ted Nugent, AC/DC. Back in Black, whatever they're feeling. But I don't know. It is super complicated. I see it from every side, but I would still enjoy football if they got rid of the national anthem, and if they want to keep it too, that's great. I think it's one of those kind of songs that unites everybody, which is great for America. Lots of people come from lots of different places, backgrounds. It's such a tough call.
I don't think anyone particularly has an issue with the national anthem, Star Spangled Banner. Right, we're talking about the same song. I don't think the issue is with that. It's there's been a lot of controversy with Connor Snapplenickel or whatever his name is.
Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, there you go. That guy, Colin Kaepernick.
But just so you guys know, Fred doesn't watch football. We're educating him slowly. He's going to be the biggest Bills fan in 3 months.
I tried to watch football, but I didn't understand really what all the sliding on your knees after a goal was for. I didn't.
You're getting your sports mixed up.
I Googled football. I don't know what you want from me. No, but I think no one can deny that, pretty much the whole conversation started around, how many years has it been since I can't even say his name the right way. Colin Kaepernick took his first knee at a game. I would say that would be the root cause where the discussion even is stemming from. And again, it's not the song. The song could be "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey. That could be the national anthem. I don't think that would be the issue. It's all the drama around the situation at this point.
Yeah.
Which I don't think getting rid of the song is kind of like trying to. I don't really know. I'm trying to think of a good analogy for it, but it's like,
trying to send your problem child to an orphanage, but he's still a problem child. You know what I mean?
I guess. Yeah. You're having plumbing issues, so you just rip your whole sink out instead of just fixing the pipe.
Right.
But
yeah.
But not that Mr. Kaepernick is a leaky pipe, but I think he means well. I think he had the right idea. I'll be a little on the ledge talking about that, but I don't know. It's just it didn't get received, and that now we're in this kerfuffle, right?
Well, we have the tradition set. There's a way we're supposed to react when the anthem is played. We're supposed to stand with our hand on our heart, and we're supposed to look up at the flag. And it's a tradition. I mean, and this is a conflict that is dating back to the 1960s. We're talking about landmark decisions by the Supreme Court about free speech. So it's very similar in that respect. Especially, I mean, this isn't a criminal case, so it's not going to hit the Supreme Court. We're just talking about this in the sports context now. We're talking about burning draft cards back in the 60s, burning American flags in the 1960s, wearing a shirt that says "fuck the draft" going into a courtroom. It's always going to be controversial.
Now, are you saying this isn't
cases.
Where the Star Spangled Banner being played at games originated, though? That's not what you're trying to say, right? That was predates the 60s.
Predates the 60s. But that's the precedent, right? So there's not even an expectation before. And I know you can probably fill me in a little bit better, but I was reading that a lot of people were disrespecting the flag when they first started introducing it, or disrespecting the anthem. So I think one of the baseball owners decided to stop showing it for a short period of time. So back to what you guys are saying, and everybody lambasted him. He was the most unpopular guy in America for a couple of weeks. So they brought him back on. And this is with just the Telegraph and newspapers, not talking about social media.
Right, exactly. So the bullhorn of social media makes everything a lot more amped up, more than it probably needs to be. From what I was reading, I tried to take a deeper dive into it after we talked about it briefly. Is like, why is it even played in the first place? You know what I mean? If you're gonna have a conversation about it, see where the roots are.
That's kind of my.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. That was just my biggest point I wanted to make too. Was just what was the point of it in the first place? And you mentioned World War I, right?
I believe it was World War I, World Series against Cubs and Red Sox. It was even baseball, we're not even talking football at this point, right?
Yeah.
I think it was World War I, and they started drafting professional athletes. So a lot of players were being drafted. There was, without pulling up the article I was reading, which again, this is way past the point for a football term, where Monday night quarterbacking, something that happened in like the 1816s or something. Right? I don't even know what's happening anymore.
Yeah.
But it was when Babe Ruth was around, so before color TV.
I think it was like 1918, right? 1918,
1919. Yeah, maybe that's where I'm pulling the 18 out of my butt from. But they did it as a show of support for the players that were actually being drafted out of the league at that time. I think there was an actual player for the Red Sox who was in the midst of being they let him come back from active duty to play in the World Series, and I think he was the first one to salute the flag when they started playing it. Then everyone else started doing the hat over the heart. From what I was reading, the country itself was in some sort of depression from, just being thrown into this, great war. And, they weren't doing too hot. But apparently, from what I was reading, just like the mood of the whole stadium really improved after the playing of the song, which didn't even happen before the game. This was like inning 7 of the World Series. Like we were like, what I mean? The how everything's framed out wasn't even the case yet. But that got such good support. They started doing that to every game, and then here we are. Fast forward, 100 some years, and we're playing it for every sporting event. And it's like interesting to see where it even comes from initially.
Absolutely.
And
I want to mention on the the military aspect of it, and something you can kind of semi compare to that. I don't think it was as big, but Whitney Houston sang the Star Spangled Banner did a wonderful, probably one of the best of all time rendition.
I'll bring a tear to your eye.
Yeah, first Bills Super Bowl, 1991, I believe against the New York Giants. I could be wrong about that, so please mistake me if I am. But that they were in the thank you. They were in the middle of the that was the Gulf War, I believe, and it was just such a patriotic moment. If you ever watched the Four Falls of Buffalo ESPN film, former players from that era, Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, they talk about that moment, and there were players and people in the stands with tears in their eyes, and it was just such a huge moment. And I think, if you could snap your fingers and make that not happen, then I would think very low of a person that wouldn't want, a moment like that to be just celebrated, 20, 30 years later. And a segue into that is, Jake, you might have a somewhat unique opinion on this because you served some time in the United States Army, so I don't know if that. And then I believe you said it was you were serving kind of right at the time when Colin Kaepernick first took his knee. So Do you have any input with that perspective?
Yeah, I was enlisted in the Army, junior enlisted. I do like to qualify. I didn't do any deployments, had a nice, cushy office job. So I have a different perspective than I think a lot of people that were actually overseas fighting. I know a lot of people were pretty irate, as to be expected. That and with anything with the flag in the military, there's a lot of reverence. Every day you wake up for PT, you go into formation, you salute the flag. At the end of the day, you go outside at 5 o'clock, you salute the flag. So it's a big thing. These traditions that seem kind of arbitrary.
It's your team, essentially, right? They're getting you on board with your team.
Right. And, and there's so many guys, so many senior enlisted that, we're talking 6, 7, 8, 9 deployments, and they see somebody who's, who's well off, who's a millionaire, who's doing something that they love themselves, kneeling before the flag. It does ruffle feathers. I mean, yeah. I'm not going to lie about that, but
Absolutely.
It's a lot more nuanced than people. It's a lot more nuanced than people present it, though. And I was under a lot of black leaders in the military, and not all the black leaders liked it either. Then they got that twitchy eyebrow that senior enlisted members do, because they've spent their whole life. They've put that flag on their right shoulder, and they've charged in the battle. They've lost friends. They've seen flags draped over coffins on their way home. So it evokes emotion. But there was also, nobody's a monolith here, right? Other black senior leaders, they supported it, and they maybe didn't agree with the approach, but they thought it was a perfectly fine way of civil disobedience to bring attention to a matter that they also cared about, right? It's not just the military. They're also, they're black men in this world, and they're seeing, their fellow black men, brothers, cousins, so on, that are being disproportionately targeted by the police, even though they're in the military, they're being targeted by police. So it gets to be a lot more nuanced than just, a bunch of white rednecks that want the flag, my flag, and then a bunch of granola munching liberals that want to advocate for better treatment,
I definitely have a couple follow-up questions for you on that, Jake, just because I feel like I'm interested. Is one, do you remember where you were, I guess, when you first started hearing about this, and what your actual hot take at the moment was? Because, you can be all riled up with the boys. I've had hot take opinions on things in the past that I don't necessarily agree with now. You know what I mean? But in the moment, it felt right. Did you really have an opinion at the time? Was it just that's just a thing? What was going on there?
I've always been a big advocate for civil liberties, constitutional liberties. So at first, if that's the way he wants to express himself, that's the way he wants to express himself. It's kind of a cop out there, but
right.
And I think a lot of the I didn't mention that, but a lot of the more senior members that are really dedicated to the military was I fought for that man to make that statement. We're fighting for constitutional liberties, even if you don't agree with the way that they want to approach it.
For sure.
And that's kind of what I was thinking at the time, but I don't want to speak for everybody there, too, because there was definitely a lot of people that thought this was a hugely disrespectful move. And I don't want to downplay that at all. But yeah, that's just the perspective from there. It's you got about a 50-50 perspective everywhere you go, but
right.
It's rather unfortunate that it turned into a proxy argument for political partisanship, which I think is the most unfortunate thing, and I want the argument to die because of that, because it wasn't a constructive one. Colin Kaepernick, He was trying to just bring attention to something he was passionate about. He wasn't trying to dismiss the military. He might not have a strong opinion of police officers, but a lot of people don't currently, right? And he was maybe been a little bit ahead of his time on that one, maybe. But
right. So, follow up to that is, do you think Colin Kaepernick had a better outlet to even do this at? I feel like if you have a message and then you're some sort of professional football player, what are your real options? You got social media, which at the time may have or not been working for him. He's kind of a somebody, but not really, right? So he's just a schmuck on a team.
He's a mid-tier quarterback, mid-tier starting quarterback.
Yeah, right. And then it's what are his other options? He's got an interview that's going to be lost in the hay, right? You can do a one-off interview, maybe a couple, and it's or what do? You don't want to do something during a game and cause your team points or anything like that. What's he going to do? Take a knee during a pass play or something like that? He's oh, I'm just going to take this and let the dude sack me or something what do you? You're not that's not going to work. So I mean, really, if you're in his situation, your only option really is kind of something that's like kind of abrasive like that, and it's like it's either going to work or it isn't, and I don't think it worked for him at the time, unfortunately.
He ended up getting kicked out of the league ultimately, which I thought was an abuse on him. I can see the NFL. I can see the NFL owner's side. They just wanted to avoid anything that was going to lose them money. I don't think they were being malicious. With it.
All this money talk, Jeff. It's they have good intentions.
I was going to say it came full circle there, really.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the NFL doesn't like anybody that's going to draw attention away from the game product. That's really what it was at the end. I don't think the NFL owners were colluding. He came in for plenty of workouts. I don't want to get into the Colin Kaepernick debate too much.
No. Yeah, off the rails.
But at the same time, I think. Yeah, it was just rather unfortunate he didn't get another chance with the team. He was definitely worthwhile. Right. The Bills could have used him on the year they drafted Josh Allen. He'd have been much better than A.J. McCarron for the stopgap quarterback.
Right. For sure.
No one wanted to touch him. He was nuclear. So it's just what it is, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, like I was saying, he gets in there. He picked the pot to stir to get his message out, and it just wasn't the right pot.
Yeah. I mean, that's a question to ask, too, is did he elevate the discussion or did he degrade it?
We're talking about it right now, even when we didn't want to, so I would say yes. But I think, I think, and sorry, I feel like I'm taking control of this conversation a little bit.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
To go back, to use backhand's term of full circle, the conversation quickly got away from what the original point was, right? Because then it starts going after you're dissing my team because you're kneeling during my special time, which people can determine what special time. To me personally, my special time during games is when they play Sweet Caroline. Ba ba ba. That's I swear.
Everybody
to God,
jumps in.
If you wear your fucking hat during Sweet Caroline, I'm gonna come across that bleacher.
That's right.
But. Yeah, it's just he picked that, and soon the other side of the argument isn't even arguing against why he's doing it or why the reason he's doing it for. It's because he's doing the thing, right? You're doing it during my time. I don't want to listen to what your message is. I don't want to concede any point. And now anything that is a point you're bringing up or something you're trying to bring attention to is automatically a no-go for me. And then we get back into the politics thing of it's my team versus your team, no matter what's at stake here, right? It's like you either believe this or you believe that, and those are the only two ways. And I feel like that's kind of we've spiraled down that route as a country a little bit. And
every major topic turns into. I thought it was rather unfortunate here because. We are talking about. I get back to my philosophical roots here. We're talking about two competing principles of respect, right? Respect for the country, respect for the flag, respect for tradition. First, respecting somebody's expression, who is trying to make a statement about respecting Black lives as much as others, which is a very valid statement, But unfortunately, we didn't really get into that discussion at all because, like you're saying, it turned into my team, your team, the proxy argument for partisan politics, and it was like, all those anti-American liberals and. All those redneck Republicans kind of thing, and it was because I think there was a lot more. Like I was talking about earlier, there's a lot more nuance in the discussion too, because there's a lot of people that are kind of wavering, or also saying I don't like the way he presented it, but I do respect the statement he's trying to make as well. And then there's a lot of people that are all full on board. He is a hero, and he is trying to bring progress. And a lot of people are really behind him on that, and it's almost heroic the way he did it too, because. He was on the. It was feeling like the back of him. Yeah, he got kicked out of the league, and he had time to resurrect his career as well. He wasn't in that bad of a spot. He was coming off a pretty decent year with San Francisco, after an injury. But yeah, it's rather unfortunate, and that's the big reason why I don't think there's a lot of benefit to having the anthem being played because we're not getting the benefit from it, and not the anthem being played before pregame. Football or even any other sport because it's really just dividing people, and sports are the last bastion of things that we can all collectively kind of get together regardless of where we're coming from, regardless of political affiliation.
Do you think, and maybe this might be one for you, Backhand, is like, do you think the anthem being played at games, do you think there's ever a time when there's someone that hears the anthem doesn't immediately think of the whole taking a knee situation. Like, I feel like it's there's the bad taste. There's just a bad taste.
Well, that was going to be my point. Is like, will the pendulum swing back? I mean, we're very politically charged now as a country. No matter what side of the spectrum you fall on. But I don't know. I mean, if things escalate beyond kind of where we're at and have been at the last at least year or two, I think that means really, really bad things. But, I would hope that the pendulum will swing back and things will kind of calm down a little bit. But it's always hard to say.
I would hope so, but I'm not holding my breath.
Sports is one of those things that can swing the pendulum back.
Right.
When we're not trying to interject too much politicism into these things that unify us. It's not just sports; it's music as well. And every NFL game every Bills game I've gone to, you see the Trump flags, you see the Black Lives Matter flags, you see people of all different races, all different. Some people look poorer than others, some people look richer. It doesn't matter. Some people got the fancy cars, some people got the old Honda, but everyone's tossing football around in the parking lot, sharing beers, sharing brats. And then we go into the game and nobody knows what your opinion is. No one cares. We're all just Bills fans and we're having fun and we're cheering on the team. And I think that's something that's even more powerful and even more influential than making a strongly worded statement or, getting a win in a debate. It's like when you can have those things where all that stuff just washes away, all those things that you perceive as differences just wash away, and we're all just Bills fans having fun watching Josh Allen chuck touchdowns, and you don't want to interject too much of the craziness into that, and it's powerful in its own right. It doesn't even have to benefit anything. We're just in there having fun. I have no problem with
But go back to the first part of the conversation we're talking about. It's like, now you can't take it away, though. You know what I mean? If you take it away, you're taking people's candy. If you take it away, you're playing to one side versus the other. You know what I mean? It's so charged. You can't just. It's like if none of this ever happened and you took it away, maybe you could get away with it. You're just like, I just don't want to do Star Spangled. But now at this point, it's just like there's too many heels dug in the sand. I don't know. But I'm with you. I think we should all come out to like Triple H's entry music and spit water in the air, but it's not.
Well, I mean, Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks NBA team, he's just recently they don't play national anthem before the game anymore. So it could be a
and how did that go over though? Because I'm not tracking sports. How did that
I honestly
go over?
I don't know how. I don't really know what the reception was. Jake, can you speak to that at all?
No one knows. Yeah, for 10 games, no one knows it for 10 games. No one. They don't have any fans in the stands.
Really?
So if there's fans in the stands, they might have noticed it earlier. But 10 games went on, and then it went viral, and then the shitstorm started. So there was a bunch of back and forth, and then
grumble.
Yeah, at first the NBA said, people can do whatever they want, and then they backtracked on it. Kind of like the NFL does. They start with one strong statement, then backtrack on it, so you can kind of be right in the middle and not offend anybody. So then they backtracked and said, all NBA teams are going to perform the national anthem.
Right, they get the message out there for the quick PR move, and then they just backpedal, which is standard politics move.
Well, they just want to have as broad of a demographic as they want. That's why the NFL has always been really wishy-washy on it. Because they did the same thing. Is all players must stand with their hand on their heart before the anthem. And then like, well, no, kind of like a half-ass statement to follow it up.
Right.
Nobody's going to be out there policing that.
Yeah.
And you can't really fine people for doing it, right? You can't get fined for kneeling during the national anthem.
With the current contract as it is now, I don't think you could. But if they run it right into the contract, I mean, if it's part of your job to show up with Dairy Queen on your shirt, they can make you stand for an anthem as long as you agree to in the contract. But I don't think the CBA has it.
I would agree with you there. I mean, contracts are pretty. Hey, do you want $3 million or do you want to not have $3 million? Stand for the freaking song, right? It's kind of what it boils down
Well,
to.
and I'm sure they got some pretty good lawyers over there at the NFL drawing up those
yeah.
contracts.
I'm making up that number. Do players even get paid $3 million? Is that a standard? Hey, I'm a football player. I get $3 million.
That's a low veteran contract. The highest paid is $45 million.
That's like not a lot. What?
No.
That's
Patrick
pretty.
Mahomes just got a $500 million contract for 10 years.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I'd go. I don't even know what I'd do for $3 million, but my wife wouldn't be happy.
You'd be buying all sorts of lifted trucks and
that's
sports
definitely
cars.
what it would be. Lifted trucks. Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean, back to your question though, I think they could get away with it. I think they could get away with getting rid of the national anthem. You'd have to roll it out quietly, because for the most of the season, I know the Bills were among them. Yeah, right. If you make a big deal about it, people are gonna have opinions.
Hypothetical. Let's just say, it's Jaff and backhand. You're at, the coronavirus doesn't happen, or we're in a stadium. It's the Bills game. You just got done jumping through a folding table, and we're almost to kickoff. Here we go. The guys are running down the field. They kick the ball, and then some guy stands up next to you and goes, "Hey, did they play the national anthem? Like, what happens? Like, how does that? What happens from there? You know what I mean?"
I don't think anybody, because especially at Bill Stadium, 80% of everyone's drunk. We're having fun, and the music's playing. You have a lot of pregame stuff going on, a lot of music going.
What about
fireworks? And then you just go right to the kickoff.
I think it wouldn't go over well.
What about the media that's there?
Slow rumble. Right.
The media will notice it immediately, and it will be out.
Right.
And that'll be it.
It will be, no one in the stadium will care until all of a sudden they're getting hits on their Twitter and Facebook that, it didn't happen, and then the grumbling will start. You know what I mean?
Once someone tells you have to care about it, then everyone
Right. You get that little NFL chime in your pocket. There's some big news on the ESPNs or something. I don't understand how anything works,
but I mean, consider this perspective though. To start the season, I think 11 teams decided to just stay in their locker rooms, so they were having the anthem played outside while they were just sitting in the locker room. So that's not even, I think that would be worse than anything else. You're just avoiding it, just hiding out. But I mean, they got away with that without too much grumbling and too much anger. Maybe a lot of that had to do with people just wanted football during COVID, but I don't know. I mean, I'd rather have not an anthem at all rather than just having players staying in their locker room during the anthem. I think I put out a poll on Twitter. It was about 75-25 to don't stop the anthem before I came on here, but he one of the guys said, he's like, either make them all stand or just don't do it. I was like, if you're not going to honor it in the traditional way, and you can't expect people to, right? You can't. I want to phrase this the right way, but there's definitely a large portion of African Americans that don't believe that anthem, they don't believe that flag really represents them. So to go out and to say that you have to go out and stand and honor it when there is legitimate historical baggage and abuses over the last 200 years that they don't want to stand and honor, that's a tough thing to try to sell to people. And the NFL is, I think it was last time I checked a couple years ago, about 70% black athletes.
Yeah, so that's like, I've always wondered, and I'm sure this is a quick Google search away, but like, what's the 75% athletes are African American, but like, what's the ownership looking like? Like
ownership's all white,
every single one.
Yeah,
all white. I think. I don't think there's a single.
It's not even an 80-20, right? It's not like the classic 80-20 rule.
Well, we have Kim Pegula, who's Asian American.
Oh.
So, and she's the co-owner of the Bills. I think she's like. I don't think there's any other minority group owners in the NFL.
Pegula?
Pegula.
Is that
Pegula.
Is that the father-daughter team?
That's his wife. That's his wife. There's only a 26-year-old.
You're going to upset the Western New Yorkers now.
Whatever.
But anyway, it's a pretty crazy topic, and just to kind of bring it back around, who knows what will happen in the off season and going up to next season. I don't think much will change. At least, certainly not next year. Within the next 5 years, I don't foresee them getting rid of the anthem. But
I don't see it happening at all.
Well, let's bring it into closing arguments here. Was that your closing argument? You got anything?
Well, I was going to say, yeah. Does anybody have any concluders? Because we were, we dragged on the anthem and I think we covered it pretty well. But no, I guess if I were to have a concluder, it would be that I will be in attendance either way. If they play the anthem, I will stand up, hat over my heart, of course, beer in the sky. If they get rid of it, then so be it, I guess. But I don't think it's a great idea. As you said, a lot of people don't feel represented by that flag, by the national anthem. And can't say I blame them in the current climate and kind of what a lot of people are going through in this country right now. But I guess it'll just be interesting to see either way. But go Bills.
What do you think, Fred?
I don't think it's going away. I don't think it's ever going to go away. I personally am indifferent on the subject. I used to sing it in school, Pledge of Allegiance, all that jazz. Didn't really bother me. But I'm also kind of a guy that when I go to sporting events, I get annoyed with the pageantry of things. Yeah. So and I kind of rope that into there. I'm kind of jaded and removed from like even really the meaning. So I just find it more of like it's taking up airtime before the game, which is probably comes off harsh, but whatever. I don't see it going away though. So that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah.
All right, Jake.
Yeah. Like you were saying, I'm still gonna go to the games regardless. I'm not that passionately invested into the anthem. Maybe I had the privilege not to be. I guess you could put it that way. But sure. I really want them just to do away with it so we can stop hearing these awful arguments going back and forth. I mean, it's really been degraded to such a low level of intelligence, and I don't mean to be overbroad here, but the general discussion that you get on ESPN, you get on Twitter, you get on any social media, it's just such an awful discussion. But I mean, and then I was able to partake into an Old Glory ceremony while I was in the military. Someone was retiring. Really powerful moment. I really liked Lady Gaga's at the inauguration. She did a fantastic anthem. It was really nice. I think a lot of people were choked up. There's a proper place and a proper time for these patriotic expressions, these pious moments to express our love for our country. I think we can do away with it in sports. Just because it's a collective, high-profile event does not mean we have to play the anthem every time.
Yeah.
I'd like to get done away.
Reserve it for World Series or Super Bowls. Reserve it for like the pinnacle of the sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a great.
A lot of times we don't even really honor it that much. We're sitting there getting our chicken wings, we're getting our beers from the fridge, the anthem's playing on the TV. Right. We're not standing in front of our TV.
When you have pie every night for dinner, it's no longer a dessert, right?
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, it does kind of tarnish, if it was once every now and then, I think you'd think a hell of a lot more of it.
Yeah, and it really should be. It should be a collective moment. Everybody gets together, and it's emotional, and everybody kind of feels unified. That's what an anthem, that's what the flag is supposed to do. It's not serving that purpose right now. I don't see that being corrected very soon, unfortunately. That's the pessimistic take. So I think, we can just keep sports as enjoying sports. We don't have to bring patriotism into it. We don't have to bring politics into it, at least as fans. We can save the politics and we can save the patriotism for after the game.
Yeah, there will be plenty of it. There will be plenty of it out there for everybody.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's it, Rick. Anybody else have any closing statements?
I don't have anything personally, Rick.
No, I think I'm good. I think we're all set.
Thank you all very much for listening. We greatly appreciate you joining us, and we are happy to have introduced the first Sportosophy with you all. Until next time, go Bills.